Good evening. I hereby call to order the action session of the Board of School Commissioners for Indianapolis Public Schools. Would you please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Eccles, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bentley.
Here.
Commissioner Cosby.
Here.
Commissioner Eccles, present. Commissioner Hannon.
Here.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Here.
Commissioner Odle.
Here.
President Arnold.
Here. Thank you, Commissioner Eccles. We will now adopt our agenda for the evening. The agenda was discussed at our agenda review session on Tuesday and reflects changes requested by commissioners at that meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Having adopted the agenda, we will not proceed with section 2. We will now proceed with section 2. If there are any groups in attendance that would like to be recognized, please rise, state your name and the organization that you are representing. Thank you. Opening comments, commissioner comments. We'll now hear from our commissioners. Does any commissioner wish to offer comments? Commissioner Cosby?
I would like to echo Commissioner Odle's comments from a couple days ago. He mentioned the opportunity for us to attend the equity training, Racial Equity Institute training. Him and I both sat in on some sessions over the summer, and I found it to be wonderful, refreshing, and I'm really excited about the fact that folks are coming in to train key people in the district that will then in turn train others. So it's needed, it's beneficial, and I was very happy to attend.
Other comments? Commissioner Bentley?
I hosted my monthly community meeting last week, and I just wanted to thank people for attending. We had the meeting this time at the Crossroads Cafe, which is at 42nd and Boulevard, and it's operated by the Aftercare Through Mentoring program, the AIM program, and it provides job skill training to young people. And it's wonderful. I mean, they're open for lunch and breakfast, and they make everything there, and it was quite good. So I want to thank them for hosting. But I wanted to say that a couple things that come up at these meetings pretty regularly from members of the community and prospective parents is the need to expand some of those popular programs up there that have high demand. So I'm hoping that in the next month or two, we'll get a plan on doing that. That's all I have.
I would just like to highlight, we learned on Tuesday at the agenda review session about programs that are partnering with the United Way and IPS, and I believe that Christy and Beth might be here. I'm just going to relinquish my time to you to come and give like a 2-minute, if people would like to volunteer, what the programs are and how they go about volunteering. So we wanted to make sure we got that out to the public.
We've actually added that to our agenda to ensure that they have a significant amount of time to raise that up.
Never mind.
And we're going to have our official pitch this evening, if that's okay.
Hold that thought.
Madam President.
I have no other comments. We will now come to public comment. Comments regarding a specific agenda item will be received when that item is before the board. General comments will be received now. We have 4 persons scheduled to offer public comments this evening. We will now hear from Kwabena Dinizulu, who will comment on his son's education. I will just remind speakers that each speaker is allotted 3 minutes in which to deliver their comments, and we request that commenters briefly conclude their remarks at the end of the 3 minutes, and that they do not use any personal names of any personnel, either at the central office or at schools.
Okay. I'd like to first thank the board for giving me this opportunity. My name is Kwabena Dinizulu. I am a transplant to Indianapolis and to Indiana with my son here, Kwaku. We've just only been here about 3 years. We have a Florida connection with Miss Eccles. I know her family very well in St. Petersburg. But I wanted to speak briefly about my son's education and what's going on at George Washington Community High School. I do not know the geography or the layout of politics or administration or any of that in Indianapolis. So I'm a parent who's concerned, but don't exactly know where to go to get some relief or proper answers. My son had been telling me stories all his sophomore year about things going on at George Washington, and I just kind of thought it was hyperbole, so I didn't pay a lot of attention to it until I read 3 articles in the Chalk Beat dating back from October through June about specific incidences and specific things going on at George Washington Community High School. My son is not an angel by any means, but he's an exceptional student, and he proved that his freshman year as part of the Magnet Teach program. He was a honor roll student. So he went from an honor roll student in his freshman year to a 2.5 grade point average in his sophomore year. Some of that I can lay squarely at his feet. Other parts of that was about a lack of communication between the school and the parents. I went to the school on 2 separate occasions to see exactly what was going on, but his record was brought before me. And then when I read these articles in the paper, I had some serious questions. So there was a definite breach of communication, because my son had an incident in a classroom where he was assaulted by another student, and I never heard about it. So I'm here to just ask some questions about safety, about communication, and specifically about the curriculum, because there were a lot of teachers who were absent. He was telling me stories about fire alarms being pulled 2, 3, 4 times in one day. And I know if you break my concentration, it's hard for me to get it back, but I can only imagine if you break it 4 times in one day, what's going on. So again, I have no axe to grind. I'm from out of the community. I'm just simply here as a concerned parent who tracks his son and makes sure he knows where he is at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm just bringing this to the attention of the board. I have spoken with 2 members from I guess I don't know if it's the school board from your department, Ms. Pratt, or rather Mr. Pratt, and a Ms. Beeson. And they've addressed my concerns, said that they will follow up with me, but I just want to make sure that it's known that there's a serious breach of communication, and this is from someone from the outside looking in. They need to do more about, talking to parents. I get beeps all the time about the potluck on Friday, but nothing about students being assaulted in the halls or fire alarms being pulled or students being unable to take their tests because the computers weren't set up correctly. So I just think there's some questions that kind of need to be answered, and I'm hoping that someone will be able to help me with that.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. We will now vote to approve all items on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve all the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report. Are there any comments on the treasurer's report?
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the treasurer's report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will now turn the agenda over to the superintendent, Dr. Farabee.
We adjust the consent. We've addressed all the consent items.
Yes, yes.
And the treasurer.
Section 6 includes the superintendent reports. We have the United Way present this evening as a follow-up to our agenda review session. Are there any other items that commissioners would like to have lift up and discuss this evening beyond item 6.05?
None.
At this time, our pleasure to invite staff from United Way Central Indiana to speak about our partnership and specifically provide a progress update on our partnership for Read Up.
You ready? Hey, good evening again. I'm Christy Gillespie, Vice President of Community Impact with United Way of Central Indiana. And thank you again for letting us join you for the second time this week. We appreciate the time. And we are delighted to be talking to you tonight about the expansion of Read Up in our partnership with IPS. And with me tonight is Beth Stroh, who is our Director of Education, and she will walk through the particulars of Read Up and the expansion components and what we hope to achieve. There are 3 components to Read Up. They are called Read Up Tutors, Read Up Core, and Read by 3. And Read Up Readers. So Beth will walk through those 3 strategies as a part of the Read Up program and talk about the goals of each and the target student population for each of those components. For this academic year, our total investment in this project with IPS will be just about $1.1 million. And that counts actual financial support as well as in-kind support that we're providing to make this happen. So with that, I will turn it over to Beth Stroh, our Director of Education, and she will walk you through the details of the expansion of Read Up.
Thank you. I think you're most familiar with the Read Up Tutors program, and this is the one that we will request that you help us identify volunteers. This is a program that pairs those well-trained volunteers with third graders who are 12 to 18 months behind in literacy skill development for 90 minutes of extra reading attention. That happens in a 30-minute segment, 3 days a week. We did calculate today that we will need close to 750 volunteers to fill about 500 opportunities. So an opportunity is 1 hour per week that a volunteer can work with students, and we will end up serving about 900 children. We know that that need exists. That will include 10 to 20 children at each of the 20 schools where we will be working this coming year. So your support in helping us identify those tutors who can volunteer to work with the children is critical. As you know, we do see significant results from that time that is spent in extra tutoring. We have taken great care to work with Dr. LeGrand and Tammy Bowman and the building principals to make sure that tutoring does not interfere with instructional time. So it will be scheduled during independent reading time, during success time, and if you can imagine this, even during some recess time when children are eager to read with tutors. We've been convinced by principals that on occasion, missing 5 or 10 minutes of recess is okay. The second program that we'll be working with is Read by 3 and Read Up Core. And this is a program where United Way will employ full-time tutors through the AmeriCorps program to work in 5 schools This past year, we worked with approximately 400 students, and we would expect to do the same in the coming year. These are children that are in kindergarten, first and second grade, and we are working with early intervention for them so that presumably their skill development progresses to the point that they may not need read-up tutoring later on. Read-up Readers is a program that we've had in place at United Way for several years, but we have not implemented in IPS. We are proposing that we would work with some of the schools that are offering scholarship spots to children with On My Way and Indie Preschool Scholarship Program scholarships this year, so that they have, again, a volunteer tutor who comes in and reads with them just to develop literacy skills and an appreciation and love for reading. Finally, we will choose one school, again with IPS's input, to pilot alignment of all three of our programs. So Read Up Tutors, Read by 3 and Read Up Core, and Read Up Readers would all be in one building so that we can look to see if there is a significant impact by aligning those support services for pre-kindergartners all the way through third graders. The commitments of you, our partners, in delivering Read Up with fidelity and so that it has the greatest success and impact on students, includes as its first point your help in vigorously promoting Read Up and recruiting volunteers for Read Up. We would like people who want to volunteer in IPS to hear and understand that the very first and best opportunity for them to volunteer would be to be a Read Up tutor. As I said, we need 750 people, we think, to come forward. Some of them will work in pairs and some individually to assist us in developing that support system for children through Read Up tutors. We also ask that, and I would tell you that we had a meeting with the building principal and his staff today. The support from your staff is very enthusiastic and very encouraging. Our Read Up program managers have come away from 2 meetings this week with IPS representatives feeling like we are on our way to the best year ever with our literacy support for IPS. But we would ask that you continue to encourage your school staff to be engaged in Read Up programs. We would ask that you also share data with us in assessing students that qualify for the programs, and then afterward to help us evaluate program effectiveness and outcomes. We will ask, and it's already proven to be true, that we have no trouble having regular meetings with IPS administration and others to make sure that we're all working together on the program and making sure that it is implemented with fidelity, and then join us in meeting all the contractual requirements. Our end goal and the challenge that we were offered by IPS is that by the 2018-2019 school year, every IPS elementary school with students who would qualify will have Read Up tutoring and perhaps other literacy supports in place. And we have presented a plan that would allow us to do that, reaching all of those elementary schools by that time. I'm sorry, I didn't advance the slides very well, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Commissioner Odle?
Yeah, I just applaud the program. You know, it's a great program. I've participated in it. It's good. 2 questions, though. One is, how do we coordinate it with OASIS? You know, and then the second is, and that might be for the IPS staff, I don't know, because that's a reading program too. And the other one is, you know, the 2018-2019 school year seems like so far off. You know, that's like 3 years away, and it's almost like, you know, the tragedy is, you know, that we probably lose 900 kids who drop out of high school every year. And so we will lose more kids in those 3 years than we'll help with this program. So the question is, can we accelerate the implementation of it so we get to those kids by next school year? And I know the Indianapolis Chamber has said that they will help. Can we, you know, get them to be more aggressive in helping us recruit so that we can do this faster? So those are just two things I had.
We welcome the opportunity. Last year, we were only able to find volunteers to fill about 80% of the spots that we needed to fill. So that will be the most critical need. If we can aggressively, I think, grow the program this year and prove that we together can recruit enough volunteers to meet this year's needs, then we're open to considering advancing at a faster pace. That's what we put out there as our goal, but we can certainly work harder if we see that we can recruit the volunteers that we need. As you know, that's what the program really depends upon most, is having those individuals that will show up and do the tutoring.
Well, I encourage you to meet with Mike Huber, because Mike is an IPS supporter.
Yeah.
And I think if you tell him what you need, Mike will move heaven and earth to get it.
We will do that.
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Yes, I just had a quick question. So if people are interested in volunteering, we know the time commitment per week, but approximately how long does the training take for tutors?
The training is 90 minutes. If you've been a tutor, then you can do it online and do a refresher. We will start training about the middle of August, and registration opens next week. So when you register online, you can also select the time for training, and you'll see dozens of opportunities that you can fit into your schedule.
As far as the OASIS connection, we've had meetings with OASIS, and the most recent one was today, and we'll look at the connection between the two programs, especially for those schools that want to have both. And we'll share that with United Way as well.
Is there a website where all the information is? Just if I just go to the United Way, I can
You'll find everything at the United Way website at www.uwci.org.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion for section 6.
No action for section 6.
Just information.
All those are information items. The next section is section 7, which included board reports from our previous meeting at the agenda review session. It's important to note that there was a revision to the calendar that reflects our work sessions, and that we had a comment from Madam President as relates to our autonomy committee in item 7.02. Are there any questions or comments on this item?
So do we need a motion to approve the proposed calendars? I'm hearing a yes, so I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed calendars for the next year.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the calendar for the upcoming year, and this is the calendar related to board meetings, scheduled board meetings. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next section is unfinished business, which item 8.01, which is a policy revision on our code of ethics. Madam President, if it's the will of the board at this time, I ask that you lead the recommendation and discussion on this item.
Okay, there's actually 4 policies that have been presented and discussed at our June board meeting. After sitting for a period of 30 days, the 4 policies presented in items 8.1 through 8.4 are presented for board approval. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7657, amending Board Policy 144.2 regarding Board Code of Ethics?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve item 8.1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call.
Roll call, because it is policy change.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Cosby,
Yes.
Commissioner Eccles, yes. Commissioner Hannon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Odle,
Yes.
President Arnold.
Yes. On item 8.02, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7658, amending Board Policy 6320.02, Supplier Diversity and Local Participation?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Cosby,
Yes.
Commissioner Eccles, yes. Commissioner Hannon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Odle,
Yes.
and Commissioner Arnold.
Yes. On item 8.03, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7659, amending Board Policy 5517 on anti-harassment and discrimination?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? Please have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Cosby,
Yes.
Commissioner Eccles, yes. Commissioner Hannon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Odle,
Yes.
Commissioner Arnold.
Yes. On item 8.04, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7660, amending Board Policy 5518 on Title IX?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Comments or questions? We will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Cosby,
Yes.
Commissioner Hannon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Odle,
Yes.
Commissioner Arnold.
Yes. Okay, we will now move on to Section 9, New Business.
Can I move that we take it as a whole?
Second.
I believe that some of these
Oh,
are
we need to pull up the
policies that
one.
we need to waive the 30-day.
Oh, my.
Well, and I think we have people that are, there are people
There's
that are
one item that
speaking
needs,
on,
that's being
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so.
Sorry.
what- You rescind your motion?
Well, could we take all those that are able to be taken as a whole? So pulling out 9.02 and pulling out 9.06?
I think we probably need to,
Okay.
I'm gonna need to recuse myself from
Okay,
some of those items.
never mind.
Yeah,
I would take them individually.
I'll go quickly. All right, 9.02 includes an adoption of a new policy covering seclusion and restraint of students. Because we are approaching the beginning of the school year, we need a motion to waive the 30-day wait period for consideration on this policy. So I'll entertain a motion.
We skip 9.01?
Oh, sure.
It's my fault. I take the blame for all of
A
it.
9.01 includes a change in appointment of the school corporation treasurer. State law requires the board to make an annual appointment of school corporation treasurer each calendar year. A change in appointment requires formal action by the board. The board has approved the appointment of Weston Young as chief financial manager effective July 30th, 2015. The resolution presented certifies that Weston Young shall be appointed treasurer and that Paul Carpenter Wilson shall be appointed as a deputy treasurer. Any questions or concerns on the proposed resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we will be moving into 9.02, which is the new policy covering seclusion and restraint of students.
Madam President, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we waive the 30-day rule.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we waive the 30-day rule for the change or the adoption of this policy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we will actually vote on the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Cosby,
Yes.
Commissioner Eccles, yes. Commissioner Hannon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Odle,
Yes.
President Arnold.
Yes. Next, we'll move to 9.03. This item is regarding the redefinition of purpose of the rainy day fund.
So moved.
Second.
And this is not a policy, this
not a
is a
policy.
resolution, so we do not need to waive, does not need to be reviewed for 30 days. Comments, Commissioner Bentley?
No, that was my question.
Okay. Comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Certification of school configuration changes, 9.04. Presents for board action the certification of a list of school openings, closings, and reconfigurations that we are required to file with the Indiana Department of Education. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7662 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and I believe that changes were made based on input from board members,
Not the names.
the other name, right,
Okay.
right, related to a few of the names.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sale of School 21, item 9.05, presents for board action the approval of the sale of School 21 as surplus real estate. After a competitive bid process pursuant to Indiana law, a bid for $500,000 from TWG Development has been recommended as the highest and best bid by the Deputy Superintendent of Operations. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7663, accepting the bid and approving the sale of School 21 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation. Comments, Commissioner Sullivan?
Madam President, I'd like to recuse myself from the vote.
Other comments? Commissioner Cosby, did I see? No? Commissioner Bentley?
I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to thank the administration for answering the questions about the issue of the school being used as collateral on the 2006 bond, and that we'll be somehow swapping schools to meet that collateral requirement. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you.
Any other comments on this item? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.06, the sale of Phillips Temple. And I believe we have a couple of people here for public comment. So if you're here to speak to the sale of Phillips Temple, we'd ask you to come forward, introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners and Dr. Farabee. My name is Mark DeLossi, and I am with Indiana Landmarks. We're the statewide historic preservation organization. And we have acted for about 5 years as an advocate for this property and its survival. There's been a discussion, thank you. There's been some discussion for some years about demolishing the building for parking, and we didn't feel that was the highest and best use for the property. So we're here to express our support for the recommendation of your staff that this resolution be adopted and the property transfer to Van Roy Properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Michael Osborne. I'm the president of Near North Development Corporation. We're a nonprofit housing and economic development agency that's worked primarily east of this property along the North Meridian corridor, but with the absence, the closing of the Community Development Corporation that served the area around Phillips Temple, we have engaged increasingly over the last few years with the neighbors, with the neighborhoods near that property. Our organization, too, wishes to support the proposal that property be sold to Van Roy Properties for redevelopment. While not the highest offer amount, it has numerous advantages that I'm sure you're aware of, not the least of which is the timeliness with which it can be executed, which means the building will not continue to sit and deteriorate and become less attractive to the private sector, and perhaps less chance of being saved. And also, I think Van Roy's proposed project, being market rate housing, is very responsive to neighborhood concerns about increasing socioeconomic diversity there and some challenges they've had in the past with problematic subsidized housing there. So I think it's very responsive. Again, we have no direct involvement or interest in the project, but we do have direct working knowledge and experience with Van Roy, and we certainly would believe there would be none better qualified to execute on this and support a sale of the property to them. Thank you.
Item 9.06 presents for board action the approval of Phillips Temple and the adjoining parking lot as surplus real estate. After a competitive bid process pursuant to Indiana law, a bid for $122,500 from Van Roy Properties has been recommended as the highest and best bid by the Deputy Superintendent of Operations. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7664, accepting the bid and approving the sale of Phillips Temple as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
Madam President, I'd like to be recused from this as well.
Madam
Any
President.
further, Commissioner Cosby?
Just because I got several emails from different individuals that live in this community, one namely being the president of the neighborhood association, I believe. There was either some miscommunication or misunderstanding. I'm not sure how that played out, but I'm not going to be supporting this at this time because there were some concerns expressed about the sale of the property.
Question.
Commissioner Bentley?
I just wanted to clarify with the superintendent and maybe others that might know more than I do about developments. But Van Roy has to, they have to go through the city of Indianapolis to get all kinds of approvals on this development, correct? And at that point, the neighborhoods and community development corporations and others in the community will have an opportunity to be involved in those decisions at that time. Is that correct?
Correct. You've
Okay.
clearly outlined the process for rezoning, and again, those approvals would need to be in place before any development could occur.
And I think that property is within the regional center as well, so there's additional requirements to go through approval for that as well.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Hannan?
I just wanted to comment or clarify, because there was a conversation the other night about this is for market rate apartments, not for low income. That was a question that we had that we dealt with the other night that I just wanted to say, since we're on air tonight and we have folks who may have written us who had a misunderstanding about what kind of development it was.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bentley?
Because, I mean, I think we all got some emails from some people in the community that we all read and took seriously, and I think that that's why that was one of the why the decision was made to take the lower bid, is my understanding. Is that correct? That was one of the reasons for the decision, not the only one, obviously, because I do know that one of the that was the concern, was that it was going to be affordable or low income, and the neighborhood around that development wanted it to be market rate.
That is correct. There were multiple variables that we considered in the bidding process for sale, and the highest bid was not the only item that was considered.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Odom?
Is our third commenters not present? Was it?
I only had two.
Okay, well, maybe they
There's
changed
three.
from what's on the screen. But I think I support this. I think it's important for us to evaluate the properties that we need. Those that we don't need, we should move aggressively to get them back on the tax rolls, so it helps the entire community.
Other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. And abstentions? Okay, moving on to 9.07. Item 9.07 presents for board action the approval of the Center for Instructional Radio and Television, or CERT, as surplus real estate. After a competitive bid process pursuant to Indiana law, a bid for $1,100,000 from Millhouse Properties has been recommended as the highest and best bid by the Deputy Superintendent of Operations. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 7665, accepting the bid and approving the sale of CERT as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Madam
Commissioner
President, I'd also
Salvo?
like to be recused from this as well.
All right. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Farabee. We will now turn it over to you for superintendent comments.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I want to show appreciation for the United Way staff that was present today. We're extremely excited about our partnership with United Way Central Indiana and the opportunity to recommit to the redesign of our read-up efforts. As you heard tonight, we need many volunteers, and what I would want the community to also to understand is that this is not only an opportunity to support our young people with literacy, but this is also an opportunity for students to have a significant relationship with an adult outside the home, which can be a tremendous asset to our students. And so we ask that as we start the process of aggressively seeking volunteers, that many would consider or share with others to consider to be a Read Up volunteer. We'll also create a badge on our website and a link to the United Way site, and we'll also assist with aggressive volunteer recruitment to support this effort. My following comments will be related to opening of school. As everyone knows, we open school on Monday, August 3rd. We're excited about welcoming all of our students back to us. We just remind families that we have a back to school badge on our website, which includes important dates such as open houses. There's also information on our dress code. Remind students that we've changed and made modifications to our dress code. So we want to make sure that all families are aware. We have supply lists for those that are doing last minute shopping over the weekend. We have student handbook information as well. So there's lots of information, including transformation information. So we mailed out transportation information, but there's also that information on our website along with parenting tips as well. We also have been entertaining several calls this week in our service center. Staff in our service center are eagerly waiting to receive more calls and to extend our work hours next week. So our service center will be available to families next week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we'll be serving families in this capacity our first 2 weeks of school. The number for our service center is 317-226-4000. Again, that's 317-226-4000. Also, they can email urgent items to our service center as well. And that email address is ipsservicecenter@myips. So to ensure that families have multiple opportunities to give us feedback should they have questions with the opening of school. The last item is on the sale of properties. I think this is a significant step for IPS in our financial stewardship. This is an opportunity not only to have an impact on the community, but also we're showing that we're managing our resources effectively and efficiently by proactively liquidating assets that we're no longer using. This concludes our comments for the evening.
Thank you. Hearing no other business to come before the board, our next meeting will be the board work session. It will be held Tuesday, August 18th at 6:00 p.m. in this room. So we stand adjourned. Have to sign here.